Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraye Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtike. So I'd like to welcome each one of you for this Karthik month meditation. Today is 8th day. Today also happens to be the Bahulastami, or the appearance day of Srimati Radharani. But there is some problem. There's some echo is coming. So, we've been talking about this verse which Bhagavatam mentions, that Tasmad Bharata Sarvatma Bhagavan Ishwaro Hari Shrotavyah Kirtitavyascha Smartavyascha Ichata Bhaya. And so, that has been our verse for meditation. I thought I'll share something based on what we discussed yesterday as to how this time, which is very limited, which we have, how should we utilize them. Of course, we spoke about Tasyartayat Kshana Loka Uttama Shloka Vartaya, right? Ayur Harati Vaipumsan Udyan Astancha Yanaso Tasyartayat Kshana Loka Uttama Shloka Vartaya. But we have some limited time which we are aware of. How do we utilize? What is it that we can do? What are some of the practical examples that we can learn from Srimad Bhagavatam? And there is one such example we will take before I share and talk about that verse and that person whom I'm going to talk about. Just wanted to mention that, in Bhagavatam, in the beginning itself, it is mentioned that this Harikatha that we participate or we discuss, it is extremely purifying externally, the atmosphere, the environment, and purifying our heart also. Nayad Bachas Chitrapadam, what is that verse? Nayad Bachas Chitrapadam Harer Yasho Jagat Pavitram Pragranita Karhichit. Nayad Bachas Chitrapadam Harer Yasho Jagat Pavitram Pragranita Karichit. 100%. It purifies the heart of the person, the audience, the listener, and the atmosphere in general. Nayad Bachas Chitrapadam Harer Yasho Jagat Pavitram Pragranita Karichit. So let's talk about this very interesting pastime which is mentioned in Bhagavatam. The importance of this particular pastime is this person whom I am going to speak about finds a mention by Sukadev Goswami when he begins to narrate Srimad Bhagavatam. Also finds a mention by Lord Krishna when he is speaking to Uddhav in the 11th canto, Uddhav Gita. So that person must be very, very special. But he finds a very small mention. But in that one mention, he does something which is so exemplary that people like us, we take years, lifetimes, we don't get it. And the reason why I'm saying that, when you hear that, you'll see how powerful that is. Anybody wants to guess? At the beginning of Srimad Bhagavatam, if you're aware of, if you've read, Sukadeva Goswami, when he begins to narrate, he gives an example of somebody. Okay, because I made it, okay, that's the right answer. It's the Khatwanga Maharaj. Is something very special and unique about him, because even before begins to answer, Sukadeva Goswami mentions about him. And Krishna, in his before his departure, his instructions to Uddhava, he mentions about Khatwanga. Has to be something special. So I just took one verse, which I'll share with you. You can see this verse. This verse is saying, Navalyepi matir mahyam adharme ramate kvachit na pasyam uttama shlokad anyat kinchana vastuham. Navalyepi matir mahyam adharme ramate kvachit na pasyan uttama shlokad anyat kinchana vastuham. So for the paucity of time, I'm just reading the translation. I was never attracted, even in my childhood, by insignificant things or irreligious principles. I did not find anything more substantial than the Supreme Personality of Godhead. See, this is Khatwanga talking about this, his past life. He's talking about some characteristics. He's just remembering his past childhood. Before this, I'll give you the context, but just hear what he's saying right now. He's saying, in my childhood, I was never attracted to anything which is frivolous, which is temporary, or which is insignificant. I was never attracted to any irreligious principle. I did not find anything more substantial than the Supreme Personality of Godhead. I didn't find anything more substantial than the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he says. And in the purport, Prabhupada writes, Maharaj Khatwanga provides a typical example of a Krishna conscious person. A Krishna conscious person doesn't see anything to be important but the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Nor does he accept anything within this material world as being unconnected to the Supreme Lord. As stated in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Sthavara Jangama Dekhe, Na Dekhe Tara Murti, Sarvatra Haya Nija Ishtadeva Spruti. The Mahabhagavad, the advanced devotee, certainly sees everything mobile, immobile, but he doesn't exactly see their forms. Rather, everywhere he immediately sees manifest the form of the Supreme Lord. Although a devotee is within the material world, he has no connection with it. Nirvandha Krishna Sambandhe. He accepts this material world in relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. A devotee may be engaged in earning money, but he uses that money for propagating the Krishna consciousness movement by constructing large temples and establishing worship of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Khatwanga Maharaj, therefore, was not a materialist. A materialist is always attached to wife, children, home, property, and many other things for sense gratification. But as stated above, Khatwanga Maharaj was not attached to such things, nor could he think of anything existing without the purpose of the Supreme Lord. Isa Vasyam Idam Sarvam. Everything is related to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Of course, this consciousness is not for the ordinary person. But if one takes to the path of devotional service, as prescribed in the nectar of devotion, he can be trained in this consciousness and attain perfect understanding. For a Krishna conscious person, nothing is palatable without a relationship with Krishna. Read this purport nicely afterwards. 9.9.44. The important thing is, there are people who are ordinary, like us. If we look in our lives, there is nothing great about our lives. We're just ordinary people, driven by material passion, ignorance, not able to overcome them, struggling in lives. Somehow, by dint of fortune, by some will of the providence, we came in touch with a pure devotee. We got some desire to practice Krishna consciousness. We got some desire, some interest to practice bhakti. That also is not steady. There are so many challenges there. And there are people who are considered to be extraordinary. How can somebody be considered extraordinary? Here is an example of a king, Khatwanga. Mind you, he comes in a dynasty which starts with Swayambhuva Manu, the Sun dynasty. There is Bhagirath, who brought Ganges to this material world. They are his forefathers. And his successors are Dasarath, Lord Ram. Very, very, very glorious dynasty. And he is also invited by the demigods to assist them in the battle between the demigods and the demons, which keeps happening. But one such occasion where it was a very furious, ferocious battle, the demigods took the help of this Khatwanga Maharaj. Imagine if the Air Force One, the US Army, they go and take help from somewhere in some Kenya or some place in Libya or some unknown place. And there has to be something great and extraordinary. I mean, Air Force One is considered to be very advanced. The demigods, I'm just giving one material example, maybe I'm wrong, maybe Libya has got good this thing, I don't know. But the demigods coming and asking for help from Khatwanga Maharaj is unheard of. And he went and he assisted, and the battle was won by the demigods. And the demigods were so pleased with Khatwanga Maharaj, they asked for anything, any benediction that you want. Imagine, in front of you, Jeff Bezos, Warren Buffett, what is this guy, or Elon Musk, then Bill Gates, all of them are sitting. Not all, if you name few, Tata, Ambani's, Tata is anyway gone, Ambani, anybody, whoever you can think of, all of them are sitting. You're just alone, nobody is there. So you don't have the worry that if this thing, whatever I'm going to get is going to be divided or shared. And they are asking, ask. What do you want to ask? Ask. Hey, imagine, and we think, oh my God, all of them together. You just ask anything, we will fulfill. For a moment, think yourself in the shoes of Khatwanga Maharaj. The demigods are saying, we are pleased. Ask. Kya chahiye? What do you want in life? What most people would have asked? हम कृष्णा प्रेम लेंगे ना क्यों? Anybody will say Krishna. You would ask some big bungalow, mansion, or some nice private jet. Car and all is out of question. Private island of mine, filled with nice amusements and some the greatest of comforts, which probably have not been discovered, or whatever it is. Everything should be there, and then I'll sit there and enjoy, and maybe once in a while Hare Krishna also, if the memory comes, I'll do. Possible. That's what I would have asked. Khatwanga Maharaj, on the other hand, is asking something which is why he's so special. It's exactly what we were discussing yesterday. He's asking, how much time do I have? His question is very this thing. I mean, nobody would think that, why would somebody ask? Saying, how much time do I have? And the demigods respond, just one moment. Imagine if you would have taken that without asking this question, what you would have done with that one moment. This matter is over. You're going to die. And the more important, the more significant thing than asking that thing is to get fixed. Okay, the moment he heard that it is just one moment, still maybe, I'm just going now, this is some important thing, one festival or something, and then you see nicely somebody has prepared some pizzas and are kept, and you're seeing nobody is around. Maybe one moment, okay, time hai, dal ke chale jao, right? Something like that. But he's saying he heard one moment, and what he did, immediately said that you transfer me back to material world. And he fixed his mind and consciousness in Krishna and achieved the perfection. See, how much time we have is not so important as to how we are utilizing. Today is a holiday, isn't it? Still, you see, people find it difficult. And maybe they're busy because their mind is attracted to so many things. I want to enjoy, I want to do this, I want to do this, I want to do that. So the real goal of life is not fixed. First learning that we can have from this example is Khatwanga Maharaj was very alert. He was very fixed on his goal. Moment he heard, one moment, said, okay, just bring me back to material world. This planet Earth, it is the most conducive for practicing Krishna consciousness, because heavenly planets are filled with comforts. And he sat down and achieved the perfection in just one moment. One moment, that's it. He achieved the perfection. How alert are we in our goals of going? If I ask you, and he achieved he achieved the Bhagavad Prapti ho gaya. How many of you want to achieve the perfection of going back home, back to Godhead in this life? किधर आ गए आप? गलत जगह पे हैं क्या माता जी? We all want, right? I mean, that's what at least theoretically we want to aspire, we are aspiring for. But how serious are we? अभी भी कुछ desire से बेचारा honestly बोला नहीं, हाथ नहीं उठा, कुछ भी है. Means we have got so many other things. How to be very serious with the time that we have. And how so many things play so important role, and amongst them the most primary is Shravan and Kirtan. I'll bring that. Let's just wait for a moment. First thing is you are supremely alert. Somebody may say, no, Prabhuji, hum to grihasth hain, hamara material responsibilities hain, we have got business, we have got job, service. He was a king. He had possibly all opulences and much more responsibilities. He was a grihastha than possibly anybody could have thought of. And mind you, even if he's born in a family where all of the previous these things are devotees, Bhagirath, Swayambhuva Manu, or Lord Ram is coming in that dynasty, still he had to perform devotional service to exit from this material world. You're not exempt. It's not like, ठीक है, मैं तो इतना बड़ा family में रहा, तो parents are devotees, पता नहीं क्या है, and I take a liberty and I don't do anything. Oh. The determination that I must practice to go back home, back to Godhead in this human form of life. If that determination is not there, you'll have so many desires, unending, unlimited, many branched, Bahu Sakha, and get stuck. And then so many things possibly a person can do. And then lament later on. Right? So, there are two things which always accompany us in our life. Always. What are those two things? Huh? Lamentation. Sukha, dukha. Kam, krodh. Okay. Two things always accompany us. Karma and Krishna. Sunny. Rahu and Ketu. What is that? Shadow. Two things that always accompany us is our death and Paramatma. And we are always forgetful of both of them. Death is there. That shadow which you are seeing is, death is like that shadow. The moment we have taken birth, time is ticking. Death is there always. And we are dying every moment. And Paramatma is there. And both of them we are forgetful of in life. There are examples, I was just thinking to myself, there are examples of at least 3 people given in Bhagavatam who got a notice that their death is imminent, or they had a notice of their death. Parikshit, Katwanga we are talking about. Who is the third? Ajamila was not a king, and he didn't get a notice as such. He saw those, he could feel that he is going to die, but another person who knew that he is going to die. Bhishma also had Ichha Mrityu. He didn't have. Yeah. There's a third person who, at least maybe there could be some more, I don't know, but the third person who also knew that he is going to die is King Kamsa. That was the Akashvani, right? One king had a time limit of 1 moment. Khatwanga Maharaj. Parikshit had 7 days time. Kamsa had the longest. But look at their consciousness. Sukadev Goswami, before beginning to speak about Bhagavatam, mentions about Khatwanga, saying that 7 days is enough. He achieved perfection in one moment. But you may have long lifespan. People want to remain healthy, this, that, do keto, paleto, whatever diets, and this, that, and then live forever with this thing. But what is the point? Very nicely, Bhagavatam puts this in the Sukadev Goswami. He says, Kim pramattasya bahubhi proksher haineriha baram muhurtam viditam ghatate shreyase yatah. Very nice verse. Sukadev Goswami says, what is the value of a prolonged life which is wasted, inexperienced by years in this world? Better a moment of full consciousness, because that gives one a start in searching after his supreme interest. Moment of full consciousness, strongly absorbed in this. It's much better. Kamsa had so much of time. So, what is that consciousness that they are talking about? What is it that what is his name, Khatwanga could do? They were so absorbed in that consciousness, they were so fixed. They didn't get, there's not like in the last moment there is some provocation or this thing, maybe, bachche bhi hain, ye bhi hai, wo bhi hai, all kinds of things. What will happen to them? That worries. Nothing is fixed. Actually, before this verse, he speaks that when they asked, why did you choose this? Why you want to go back and meditate on the Lord? What is the reason behind that? He says, to me, the most dear thing, like for everybody there could be something which is the most dear. For somebody it could be his parents, for somebody it could be his wife, somebody it could be his husband, children, so on and so forth. So many things could be the most dear, could be some inanimate object also. But he said, for me, the most important thing is Brahmanas, the Brahmana Samskriti, this consciousness which is fixed in the Lord. And from my childhood, I've been fixed in this. I never wasted time in some trivial pursuits. I was just fixed on this Krishna. There is nothing else. And he could do that. Actually, many of us, we hear many lectures. We hear so many things. It was so inspiring, Prabhuji. So badhiya tha. Just after the class, maybe after 15-20 minutes, you ask, tell me some points from the class. Acha tha. जो भी था बहुत बढ़िया था. Actually, we never, sometimes I have seen this. I don't know how many of you have seen. Sometimes, some devotees come in, some people come in some festival days, Janmashtami or Radhashtami, some pujari, something that Jhulan and all is happening. We give some flowers to them, right, as prasadam. That flower they will take with this, that, with so much of this thing, yahan, wahan, har jagah pe lagayenge. Moment they'll go out, and पूरा world को पकड़ के बैठ जाएंगे. ये flowers गया, right? The most important thing is what we are hearing, how much we are meditating on that, how much we are applying, how much. There is that famous story of Gokarna and Dundukari. And Gokarna means his ears were like cows, big ears. They both were brothers. Dundukari was the one who did a lot of sinful activities. Whole life he did sinful activities. And he became a ghost. And then he didn't know what to do. And then his brother Gokarna had compassion on his brother Dundukari. Dundukari was there actually in a bamboo. And the bamboo was there. Gokarna arranged to speak on Bhagavatam. So Gokarna is speaking on Bhagavatam and Dundukari is there in that bamboo. There were so many saintly people who were sitting there and hearing Bhagavatam. First night when the Bhagavatam was finished by Gokarna, that bamboo had some 7 knots. One knot, it bursted. Pat! And the sound was there, everybody could hear. And then the next day again, second day he spoke. But one more knot broke. Like that, the 7 days, 7 nights, he heard, 7 knots broke. Tak, 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 tak. And at the end of 7 nights, there was Vimana from the Vaikuntha, the plane came, Vaikuntha Viman, and they were taking Dundukari, and Dundukari was going. So like in America, they say, hey, excuse me, wait, what's going on? Yes, I am Gokarna, right? I spoke this Bhagavatam. So many sages who are sitting here and hearing. Why are you taking this Dundukari and leaving behind us? That's the keys. सुनने वाले तो बहुत हैं, बोलने वाले भी हैं. How much he was so desperate. He was repeatedly meditating. Mananam, repeatedly meditating. The more he meditated, the more he became purified. That's how he became completely pure in 7 days, 7 nights, and he could go back. How easy it is for us, even though we hear, to practice it. Because we don't sufficiently meditate on those. Usually, sometimes you see, of course, outside people, outside world, they do all kinds of things, right? They send some frivolous forwarded WhatsApp message and things like that. They discuss and gossip about so many things. Even in devotee circle, you'll find things which are being forwarded and spoken which has got no relationship with Krishna. Something is happening in your society, in Grafton. Something is somewhere in WPI, some student did something. What happened? And we find interest in that. What is going inside, what we are hearing, what Shravanam we are doing, and what Kirtanam we are doing, Shravanam and Kirtanam gives rise to Smaranam. जो सुन रहे हैं, जो बोल रहे हैं, उसी से हमारा memory आता है. Shravanam and Kirtanam leads to Smaranam. We keep adding, hearing everything else with great delight. We take a lot of pleasure and relish talking about them. But natural, those things, those memory only will come. यहाँ से जैसे फ्लावर्स को करके जाएंगे, हो गया ऐसे करके, ऐसे घुमा के कैसे करके, बाहर जाने के बाद कुछ और आता है. He was not deterred. Khatwanga Maharaj, firmly fixed. There is a very nice verse. There are many things which are coming to my mind which I can share, but I'm just trying to bring the essence because it's just very less time. Very nice verse in this connection, which is spoken by Rishabdev to his sons in the 5th canto. That verse is. You see, you read this. I don't want to chant the verse, but it's very nice things. Those who are interested in reviving Krishna consciousness, that's all of us, increasing their love of Godhead, do not like to do anything that is not related to Krishna. It's not easy actually to develop. They do not, who are interested in reviving Krishna consciousness and increasing their love of Godhead, do not like to do anything that is not related to Krishna. They're not interested in mingling with people who are busy maintaining their bodies, eating, sleeping, maintaining and defending. They're not interested. Ask yourself, how much of desire, if still it is there, अरे नहीं उधर जाएंगे ना, मजा करेंगे, पार्टी है, दिवाली है, खाएंगे, पिएंगे, नाचे करेंगे, कुछ तो, maybe not grossly, subtly, still, they are not interested. They are not attached to their homes, although they may be householders. Somebody may say, no, I'm the householder. What can I do? No, they're not attached. Nor are they attached to wives, children, friends, or wealth. At the same time, they're not indifferent to the execution of their duties. Mind you, I was talking about this. Where is your heart? Love has to be for Krishna. Everything else is duty. At the same time, they're not indifferent to the execution of their duties. Such people are interested in collecting only enough money to keep the body and soul together. So if you read the purport, it's a very interesting purport. Prabhupada, towards the end, he's writing, a householder should lead such a life that he gets full opportunity to hear and chant. If your household activities are not helping you to hear and chant, forget it. It's of no use. householder should lead such a life that he gets full opportunity to hear and chant. I see some devotees come, I sometimes close my eyes, गायब, अरे अभी तो था. Because mind is so restless, so busy, so this thing. Householder should lead such a life that he gets full opportunity to hear and chant. Mind you, this is not only for householder. It's not like the brahmacharis are, they are not supposed to hear and chant. Whoever you are, brahmachari or grahasthas, the moment we take up to Krishna consciousness, we see that there are so many challenges related to our body, related to our mind, related to our relationships, related to our... Practicing Krishna consciousness is not easy. And it is very easy to lose focus and get distracted. क्या करें प्रभु जी, इतना बड़ा प्रॉब्लम आ गया लाइफ में, कृष्णा कॉन्शियसनेस कहाँ से होगा? People get away. So it's sufficient hearing and chanting. Householder should lead such a life that he gets full opportunity to hear and chant. He should worship the deity at home, observe festivals, invite friends in and give them prasadam. A householder should earn money only for this purpose, not for sense gratification. Only for this. Have deity, observe festival, invite friends, give them prasad. And there should be opportunity to hear and chant. You cannot give excuse actually. There is no excuse which is there. Why? Let's analyze for a moment. To understand this, you have to see Bhagavad Gita. Very powerful, very beautifully Bhagavad Gita explains these things actually. First and foremost which I am talking about is this alertness. This time which we have is, you misuse it, there is no chance. Don't expect that the consciousness will be 100% alright at the time of death. It doesn't happen. Very strict, very, very strict. Bhagavad Gita, Krishna very nicely mentions that if people are looking for happiness, which most people are, and that is why they are trying different things, they are searching here, there, the desires are so many, they are going after that, fulfilling them, thinking that will lead to happiness. But Krishna says a prerequisite to become happy is that you should be peaceful. Asantasya kuta sukham. If you are not peaceful within, how will you experience happiness? How will you be peaceful? If your mind is unsteady, you can never be peaceful. How will your mind be steady? If your mind has to be steady, you need to have intelligence which is strong based on Krishna consciousness. This verse is 2.66, if you see that. Krishna says, Nasti buddhir ayuktasya nacha yuktasya bhavana nacha bhavayatah santir asantasya kuta sukham. Mind is so unsteady. Is after so many things. How will you get that fixed thing which Khatwanga Maharaj could develop? It is running after this, it is running after that, this desire, this thing, that thing. One after another, one after another. Then mind is so this thing disturbed, then it can never be, if the mind is unsteady, you can never experience happiness. You can never experience peace. If you can never experience peace, then forget about sukha. This is further explained by Krishna in the verses which says, Apurya manam achalam pratishtham samudram apah pravishanti yadvat tadvat kaman yam pravishanti sarve sasantim apnoti nakama kami. You want to be peaceful? Then don't become kama kami. Sasantim apnoti na kama kami. Kama is Vishaya. What happens? Why people are disturbed? Because the moment they see Vishaya, they get agitated. They want to have it. Dhyayato Vishayan Pumsa Sangaste Supajayate Sangat Sanjayate Kama Kamat Krodho Vijayate Krodhat Bhavati Samo, and so on and so forth. The meditation on that is giving them, they are looking for happiness outside, and they are strongly determined that they'll do something outside, then only they'll get happiness. But it is not true. Happiness doesn't lie there. You have to first make your mind steady. Without steady mind, there is no peace, and without peace, there is no happiness. He's saying kama kami, if you're after Vishaya, nasantim apnoti. You can never get happiness. Nasantim apnoti sakama kami. And in the next verse, Krishna says, by the way, the word kama, actually, if you see, when Arjuna's question was, Sthita pragyasya kamhasa samadhistasya keshava, Sthitadhir kim pravaseta kim asita brajeta kim. When Arjuna asked this question, Sthita pragyasya kamhasa, how do I recognize? How do I know that a person is Sthita pragya? First thing which the Lord says is, Prajahati yada kaman. All the other material desires we still have, in the name of whatever it is, right? I'm a brahmachari, I want to have some things which I want to utilize, I want to enjoy. Actually, we have to be so careful as to whether, even though Nirvandhe Krishna Sambandhi is there, is given in that verse, Prabhupada is quoting that everything that we should see, how we should think that how we can utilize it in Krishna's service, but we don't have that distinction, we don't have that discrimination to know whether this is good or bad. For Grihasthas, though, even far more difficult because there is no control. Even for Brahmacharis, it's difficult. First thing which the Lord says is Prajahati yada kama. And he concludes that again in this verse, which we just read, Sakama kami, they can never experience happiness. Even in the next verse, he's saying, Bihaya kaman yas sarvan, pumam charanti nispruha, nirmamo nirahankara, sasanti madhigachati. Again, he's talking about Santi first. Sasantim, you want to be peaceful, no? You are looking in this, I want peace outside. Peace lies inside. You need to know how, if you want to become peaceful, you need to know what you need to do within. And there are 4 things which is mentioned here. First thing is, Vihaya Kaman. Give up all your kamas, all these desires, which is save and accept, serving the Lord, whatever other desires you have. No matter how much justification, Memorial Day sale is going on. Today's Memorial Day, what day is? Columbus Day. Whatever, Columbus Day, something, this thing, I have to go. Milega nahi Prabhu, aaj hi milta hai. Give it up. Bihaya kaman. Bihaya kaman yasarvan. Pumams charati nispruha. Give up your kama. Give up your spruha. Give up your nirmama. Mamatva. This is mine. And give up your nirahankara. Give up your ahankara. False ego. The subtlest is false ego. I know what is good for me, no. Who all are you? Who are you? I know. Give up that ego. That is the beginning of everything. It is written in the gross to subtle way. Bihaya kaman yasarvan pumams charati nispruha nirmamo nirahankara. Because of the ahankara which is there inside, I develop attachment for vyakti or for a person or object which is outside. That this is mine. Because I am identifying myself with this body, so this is my son, my daughter, my car, my house, aham and mameti, nirmama, nirahankara. Spruha and kama, spruha is whatever our bodily demands, like eating, sleeping, mating, depending. I want to do that in a better way. And kama, things which are unattainable, I want to attain them. Vihaya kaman, Krishna is saying Vihaya kaman. Vihaya kaman yasarvan pumams charati nispruha. Give up that kama, give up that spruha, give up the mamatva and give up that ahankara. Then you will become santi, you will become peaceful. And in the last verse he's saying, once you attain that state, because ultimately this is all material, temporary, nothing is there in that. But our mind, crazy mind, it is telling. That is why in the beginning Krishna is telling Prajahati yada kaman. Give it up. All these desires which are coming out of the mind, give it up. Otherwise the state of Khatvanga is impossible to attain. Impossible. Prabhupada says in one place, even if you have got a desire to just enjoy one particular kind of chocolate which is not fulfilled, you have to take birth in the womb of a mother. Just to fulfill that desire. So we have to be so careful. The last verse of this, Esa Brahmi Sthiti Partha Esa Brahmi Sthiti Partha Nainam Prapya Vimushyati Sthitvaisam Sthitvaisam Antakalepi Brahma Nirvana Mirchati. Even if you attain that state in the Antakala, in the last state, you still will achieve the liberation. Doesn't mean that the whole life I'll lead life the way that I want to and I'll expect that I'll do that. Impossible. It's not possible unless we do it now. Once you attain that state, Nirvana is possible. So, in one place Prabhupada was asked by one reporter when Prabhupada came from one airport. There are many arrival address of Prabhupada. When he arrives in some place, one reporter was asking, "So, Your Divine Grace, what do you think about the advancement of technology?" Prabhupada said it's useless. Then, okay, so what about this flight that you came in? You flew from some city to here and you came in this flight. What do you think about that? Prabhupada said it's also useless. So that fellow thought to himself, and then he said, "If that is useless, why did you come in that?" To make it useful, Prabhupada says. So a devotee always sees everything in relation to the Lord. How I can utilize it in Krishna's service. That is why Khatwanga Maharaj was so careful to ask, "How much time I have? How much time?" I said, "Just one moment." And just hearing that, he became so determined. We are not, we hear, everything, it goes, this thing, but still no change. No this thing in our action, because there's no meditation, no sufficient contemplation, and doesn't result in action. That is why it is so very important about Shravanam and Kirtanam. It's so very important in association of devotees. So we have almost reached the end of the time. We'll chant this verse and then we will close with this. I'm just thinking which one I'll take. Okay, let's take this one, which I was talking, the verse of Bhagavad Gita, which we are chanting, the second chapter. Esa brahmi sthiti partha nainam prapya vimuhyati sthitva kalepi brahma nirvanamarchati. So the word used here is bimukhyati. Esa brahmi sthiti, that sthiti, that state, once you attain that, esa brahmi sthiti partha, once you remain fixed in that, nainam prapya vimukhyati, you won't be bewildered that time. Sthitvasyam antakalepi, even if you attain that state at the stage of, it's a hope giving, even if you attain that at the just before your antakale, Krishna says, yam yam vapi smaram nanu, antakalepi cha mameva muktva smaran kalevaram. That verse comes in 8th chapter, in the 5th verse. Same antakale. Sthitvasyam antakalepi brahma nirvanam archati. This is what Khatwanga Maharaj did. It's an exemplary life. Exemplary. And if we want to achieve that, when I asked you how many of you want to go back, we have to endeavor for that. We have to be determined. Not get carried away when some nice things are happening and have some material desires also along with this, and give them enough priorities, more priorities than this. Or if there are some difficulties, reversals are coming in our life, then just give it up. What to do? Humse nahi ho payega. Oh, to be very determined in this. We'll stop here. Karthik Maha Mahotsav ki, Srila Prabhupada ki, Nitai Gaur.